are back with another episode of the Three-Sided Coin. I am just Bree and my lovely, lovely co-host.
Corey D, what it is, beautiful. How we doing
Um,
today?
I'm always good like grandma's cookies. How about yourself?
Okay. All right now. Especially if grandma smoking for that cataract.
I got the special recipe. I got you.
Ooh, man, you
But
gonna have
today,
me going to a dispensary, girl. Go on. All right. Been a
you in
long
the
week.
perfect area actually. But
Are
today
you
we're
right?
talking about safe places to land, and specifically for men. If we're real about it, as women, we do have outlets. We have our sisters and friends, and you can be vulnerable. And not saying that it's an easier road, but you do have outlets. And far too often, men, and especially Black men, don't feel that they have someone or a place where they can be completely honest and vulnerable. And that's problematic. It's problematic for all of us.
We have the bar. We have
Oh,
the bar. We have the couch. We have video games. We have the gym. Those are soft space. If that even makes
those
sense.
are
Soft
outlets,
space.
but where do you share authentically where you have, yes, maybe at the bar, but how do you follow up with that?
By getting as drunk as possible, going home and passing out, hit the repeat button next day. When it comes to soft places for men to land, I can't, in earnest, I can't think of a soft place. I don't believe there truly is one because in any given setting for men, even amongst other men, you know, it's not a soft place. It's like, yo, yeah, we can come together for dialogue, communication, um, but like truly expressing our feelings beyond, um, in depth and in detail. I don't know too many places that we can go. We definitely we don't share with our women, um, and that's for reason. That's for reason, and there are women that can be a soft place for that man to go and let himself express himself. But, and this is from experience and through conversations with I mean, hundreds of thousands of men sitting at the bar. I had plenty of bar time.
Hundreds of thousands. Okay,
Yeah, I
I'm
got
waiting for the
plenty of
but.
bar time. Okay, so one, you don't share your feelings with your woman. Men tend to not share their feelings with women because women will weaponize those feelings against that man. And it doesn't have to happen in that moment. It can happen sometime down the road. It can happen months, weeks, months, years, decades later, and that stuff be weaponized again. So remember when you had this moment, like, dude, you have a loss in your family. You almost feel like you can't even be emotional about that because
Mm.
the expectation, um, not just societal expectations, but individual expectations. Because after society has said it's on the individual to adopt it. So individual expectations that this is what a man's supposed to do, this is how a man's supposed to operate. It doesn't leave a lot of room to be able to, express yourself. I was doing and this is just an example. I was doing a movie, just a binge watching, and I saw um in the film a man he was talking to his friend, his brother-in-law, about his dead wife, and he was having a moment where the hurt was coming back. That hurt was coming up. And
Mhm.
the only softness he could get from his friend who lost his sister now. And this is a husband and a brother-in-law who lost the same woman. It's a different dynamic. And the only thing he could say to his friend, his brother-in-law, who was, having that moment was, hey, easy, easy, take a breath. And that's the extent almost that you'll get of, a soft place. You may get a hug, a pat. It's going to be all right. pull yourself together. It's gonna be all right. We're here for you. But what does that really mean? With a woman, hell nah. Mm-mm. You will get that. You should be over it by now. Um, it's been long enough, and it's that's truly, not the case. What the way men will see it, even if we were thinking it, we wouldn't be so insensitive to say that. Women will be as insensitive to say it, and then look at the man like it's a problem when he rebuts that furiously, because now you enter
Well,
a raised space.
can I ask you a
But
couple of things?
mhm,
Well, how are men honest with each other? So I can understand that when it's a vulnerable place, when it's something that we all can have some empathy for. But what about like, because yes, weaponizing, bringing something back up, you mentioned that. But what about when you keep messing up? Like we talk about something, we come to an
yo,
agreement, and you keep mess.
men
Like
hold
how honest are men with each
men
other? Like she not
men
tripping,
will
dog. It's
hold
you.
men will hold each other accountable. They will legit tell they boy, yo, dog, for real, again, like, come on, dude, pull it together. Bruh, she's not wrong in this case. This is you, man. You got to do blah, 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 blah. It may not be working, the way you're doing it. Maybe you need to figure out another way of doing it, you know, because there's a chance that that guy may be trying something. He may be working on the exact thing, and it's just not working in that the way he's doing it. He may need to find a new way to do it. He may have tried several different ways of doing it, to get something accomplished, and it's just not working. And he has nowhere he can go to complain, and that gets turned around and used against him. Sometimes it can be, oh, here you go crying about something again. When you gonna man up and like
But
we
I think
will
a lot of
always.
dishonesty happens at that point. Instead of saying I'm frustrated, I'm trying to grind and make something happen. It's
That
like
doesn't
sometimes
matter.
those emotions come out in different ways. You coming and you
That
got a
don't
bad
matter.
attitude with me because I don't know what's going on, and I'm saying talk to me and tell me what's up. And instead of being straightforward and honest with me, like yeah, you holding it back, and now the
Some
tension is
stuff,
building. So how I'm gonna
some
be? I try to be
some
open and soft.
stuff, some stuff. It's it takes time for even a man to work out in his mind why it's not working, and to even say, I don't know why it's not working. It gets flipped. That gets used up against you. Oh, now you just making excuses. No, I'm explaining to you why it's not working. But the difference between an explanation and an excuse, the only difference between the two words is accountability. They're
Mm.
both telling you what happened or what's happening, but the explanation takes, all right, this is on me because, you know, this is on me because here's what I'm doing and it's not working. I'm trying to sort that thing out. But the excuse is there's no accountability. It's not working and it's somebody else at at play. And that's how that's being twisted. No matter whether it's the explanation or the excuse, women take it all. It's just an excuse. You're just making excuses. Well, hell, we allow excuses all the time from our counterparts, but we are not allowed to have those. We're not even allowed to explain. So we don't want to, and actually, we don't want to talk. We're not supposed to be the ones to sit down and hold all these long ass conversations with you. It's not our way. We'll listen. We'll definitely be a soundboard, but
So let's talk about what are the misconceptions. So I think we started to name them, but what are the
I just named
misconceptions when we're
several. But
talking
yeah,
about men being open and honest?
men being open, when men are open and honest, it's similar to, I mean, either you're gonna win or lose. Everybody wants to win. Let me start
But
there.
what are the
Everybody wants to win.
misconceptions?
Hold
Like,
on,
I
hold
think it's a misconception that men are
on.
so complicated. They are difficult, but I think it's a misconception. I think
Well,
men are very
no,
simple,
we're
very
quite
simple
simple.
beings.
We're very simple, and we're very simple. We are very simple. Even when men lie, it's based on some simplistic stupidity, absolutely. But it's so simple. And even afterwards, a dude is really checking. It's like, why in the hell did I lie about that kind of shit? But most of the time is I don't feel like hearing no stupid argument over a decision I made. So, and it's usually over a decision you made that somebody don't agree with. It's a decision you made that somebody won't agree with. And I can't say men are the only ones that do that shit, because women do that shit too. You
But
don't
if
want
it
to
was
hear,
a stupid
hold
decision, what's
on.
wrong with me saying it's a stupid decision?
You don't want to hear it when you make a stupid decision, you don't be wanting to hear that same shit pushed up in your face, and then not just pushed up in your face once, but having it thrown up in your face 6, 7, 8 months, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line. Ain't
True.
nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that emotional abuse. That's what it is. Emotional abuse and manipulation, and ain't nobody got time for it. Ain't nobody got time for it. So that's gonna prompt a dude who's gone through it. Yeah, this thing is I'm gonna lie about something small, which will end up leading him lying about something big. But
Well,
in the
where's the
end,
accountability in that?
I mean, that's on him to hold himself. And once he does, once it's set straight, he ain't got no choice but to deal with it. But see, people mess up what accountability is. All right, yes, you own that shit. You got to deal with the fallout of it, and you got to
Mm-hmm.
make it right as best you can.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If you
Now here's
can.
the thing: if you can, and if you can't, what you gonna do? Sit there
Own
and be
that you
tortured?
messed it up. Say
No,
that
no, no, no,
you
no, no,
started
no.
that fire.
You missed all of what I just said. I just said all of that. You own it.
You own it
You
internally. Can you verbalize it?
Yeah, you can verbalize it. It's been verbalized. Once it's out there, what's the point of saying, all right, if I say the words, yo, this pen is blue. What's the point of me saying that over and over again? This pen is blue. This pen is blue. This pen is blue. Is it gonna change colors?
No, but I'm looking for the
Well,
change
okay, now
behavior.
that's how it feels for a man to talk to a woman. I've told you, and I'm telling you again, and I'm telling you, all right, look, the third time I'm done talking to you about it. I've told you. Why you keep bringing it up? I don't think it's blue. I don't think it's this. I don't know. That's what you're thinking. Now, what he can say to you is, all right, so you have an issue now that you got to work through. And taking it out on me at this point is not going to work. That's where safe space is in. Now, if someone ruins a safe space for themselves, then yes, the accountability, you got to live through, you got to work through it, and it's going to take work, but you cannot be tortured through it. And
But where's the balance for
but
a
that's what,
relationship? When women do like me, I know I'm chatty. I like to sit down. I like to be clear. I like to talk everything out down to the nittiest detail. And I know that's not the way that whoever, like whatever, I'm single now, but whoever I'm dating at the time usually does not
if you
operate the
know
same
that's
way.
not
So where's that balance for somebody like me who feels like I need to know, I need to be clear, I need to say it, and I need to you to verify that you heard me.
what more can someone how else can someone verify that they heard you other than to say to you, I got you. I hear you. They act on it. Do you see how
What
crazy
does
that
I
starts to
got you
look?
mean?
I understand.
Yes, but I'm a details person. I got you. I got this bill. Let's do the.
Okay.
Okay, I got
And
you. What that mean? Like by Friday, I'm
if
gonna have it
they
paid. Like I'm gonna
are,
make it happen.
they give you all that.
No,
Even
they
when
gave
they
you. I
give you
got
all
you. Don't worry. Didn't I say I got you?
that,
Like yes, but what does that mean?
that's a you problem. I gotta be. That's a you problem. You the one harboring that ain't
Yes,
on
I have
them.
trust issues around that. Yes, I have trust issues on depending on other people to make stuff happen for me. I can admit that. Yes.
Okay, then that's a you issue. That's not on them. That's not on them. Just hold them to it, yo. You say just come back to it. Come back to it differently. All right, on this time. All right, hey, you said you got me on this. Yeah, here it is. Boom. Or you know what? Nah, I don't. Then you start looking at that a little bit differently. But if you want clarity, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with asking for clarity. But again, you can't just and it's getting off topic here, but you can't just think that you know we're going to as men just sit down and hold those in-depth detailed conversations. Nobody's doing it when we're kids. And for the ones who are doing it when they are kids, are getting all these in-depth, detailed conversations. It causes emotional conflicts within themselves a lot of times. Like, yo, I don't feel like dealing with this right now. This is not that important right now. Nobody wants to hear what they're dealing with from somebody else as being not important. Unfortunately, what men deal with, even as young kids from every woman that they encounter is not that important. But everything that their women are dealing with, that is important. So it makes that soft space of communication, that safe space of communication.
Is that a
Nobody wants to.
reality, or is that just your perception, that
That's a reality.
the weights you carry don't matter as much?
It's a reality. And it's not a true reality. It's the response is a reality. The response is a reality.
I can
Too
see that.
many, too many men out here. Too many. And I'm saying, let's go around the entire world. The weight that men carry, there's no appreciation. There's no, I mean, there's,
But is that,
you
but
may,
can you not
nah,
see?
hold up,
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
hold up. You may feel like every now and again you get a woman who says, you know what? And this is so funny. I've heard women do this. They brag on their man. Yo, my man do this, my man do that, my man do that for me,
I
for
never
me,
told him.
for me, for me. They tell everybody else, don't ever go to that Negro and be like, oh man, go to that man. Well, no matter what his race, not go to man. Baby, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. You've done this. This is, and you know what? That right there will, man, let me see some approval and appreciation and affirmation. If you do it right with the right person, that'll get you. That dude will
But I
do
think that's,
everything for you.
but I think
My
that's
man is
mutual.
this, my man is that. If you
My
sitting there
man, my
talking,
man, my man.
right. Now, here's
But I
the
think
problem
that's
with
mutual. I think sometimes
it.
women don't give it because they feel like you don't see all that I carry. So yes, you work and you work hard and you pay the bills and you take care of. And if I want to do this, you make sure it's done. And I can recognize all that. But the little things, I think a lot of women feel like you don't know the amount of energy it takes to run a household, to manage kids, to manage you, because a lot of women help manage their men, like who cook your meals, who do the laundry, as far as laying out your clothes for work, depending on
I'm
your
gonna be
shift when you
very
come
real
in.
with you. I'll be
And
very
at the
real with
same
you on
time, I
something.
get up at 6 a.m. But I gotta get up before the kids. I gotta make sure they straight. I gotta get them off. Hope that school don't call me in the middle of the day when I get to work. I got 5,000 responsibilities and decisions to make. Like, I think sometimes you don't get it back, or you don't get it because women feel like you don't recognize all that I carry. And even if I'm a housewife, like, oh, I'm never signing up for that job willingly if I'm not rich. 'Cause that is by far way more work than going to an
Mhm.
actual office.
And you have proven my point.
Which is,
There ain't no soft places for a man to land.
no, I think your point was that little bit of affirmation, that acknowledgement, that appreciation. And I think,
It's
like
so
you said
hard
before, men
to.
are simple. And maybe for
It's
women, sometimes
so
they like
hard.
grandiose things, but men are
Mm,
simple. And if you, a little appreciation would go a long way.
yeah. Even when dudes do it, they get ragged for it.
What do you mean?
They get ragged. I've watched it happen. I've watched it happen multiple times. Yo, and even when guys get on, they brag on that girl to an extent. To an extent. Here's why. We already know how it works in the quote unquote sexual marketplace. I'm not telling you all the secrets that my woman do. I'm not telling you all the things she does for me. Why? Because the minute I do that, it's bad enough. You can see her and have whatever thoughts based on what you see and your few interactions to get an understanding how she operates and moves. But I start telling you some intimate details about what's going on in my house.
Mhm.
Now you wanna, wear
Now
my
you want to
drawers
see for
and wear
real
my
for yourself.
shoes. Exactly. And for whatever reason, women don't seem to figure that out. The more
No,
you
but
tell
I
your
think that's
girl,
a young man lesson too, because yeah, I came by recommendation for somebody talking too much about what go down between behind closed doors, and now your friends want to see for themselves, and I just may give them my pass. So no, I'm
mm, you ain't
but
lying. You ain't lying. You ain't
I'm just
lying.
saying, like
You ain't
they
lying.
thought I was attractive
That's
too,
what.
but you had to give them the rundown detail of boom boom bow. So now they want to see
And it's the same thing with women.
for themselves.
So
Yeah, I don't
everybody
talk
won't
about
get.
no my man. How y'all? We good. Don't worry about it.
Unfortunately,
We good.
unfortunately, but then women will also do this. They'll get in a circle and they will back. They'll get in a circle and they'll talk really badly about their spouse. Now you're opening up. You're weaponizing other women to come in and replace you. There's no soft place for dude because if somebody has an advantage on you. See, here's the thing: men go into conversations in any conversation. I don't care if it's about business. It could be about business, Fortune 500. They're going in with a physical mindset of, yo, if this thing really turned back and I kick his ass just to win the argument, just to win the argument. That's some primal shit. We are more in tune to our primal selves
Is that what you
than
think?
people. Man, shoot. Yes. You know how many times I sat across some people, sizing them up, like, y'all kick his ass right now. Da, da, da. I don't say that. I don't even really, hold on to it,
You
but the
gonna
thought
act on
pops
it,
in
but
your
that goes
head.
through your head.
Yeah, yo, that nigga's cool. He's cool, man. My dude's cool. I rock with that. I
Really
might
glad I
whip
don't
his
have to
ass.
beat his
Or
ass
then
today.
sometimes it's like, you know what? That's a big dude, yo. I might have to use something like a chair to pick him out. But let me go ahead and stay on his good side. We ain't never got to cross these roads. I'm having fun with it, but
Yeah.
we understand as men in certain conversations that depending on how heated that conversation can get, it can escalate to the point of physical violence.
Hmm.
Every conversation. We already know. Don't be disrespectful. Don't do this. Don't do that. We can get to it. Women don't seem to understand that. I don't know. I don't know how y'all evaluate your peers and your female counterparts and stuff. I'm a man. I don't know. I don't live in the heads of women. You know what I mean? But
Well,
it's
I think
it makes me look like I can't believe this is actually happening. Like, yo, are they really sitting there having a conversation about this woman's man, in a good way or even in a bad way? No, keep your house in your house. You know what I mean? But the minute you start letting people in or giving them
yeah.
keys to your door, they're gonna be
Or giving
unlocked.
them
They're gonna be
keys to
picking
your
your lock.
blinds. Yeah.
They're gonna be picking your locks. I don't care.
Yeah. But I
Look,
think
you can
what
sit around the
you
house all
asked
you
like
want.
you mentioned you don't know how women think, and you and I started talking about this quite some time ago because I said I was just gonna decide. I said I decided I'm just gonna be soft. That's it. I'm not waiting for an opportunity. I'm tired of being hard. I'm just gonna be
But
soft
what does
because
that mean for you? What does that mean for you? Let me ask you that.
I'm
What
gonna
does that mean for
yeah.
you?
So in reality, how women think, how they size up their opponent, a lot of most black women I know are hard in some way. That don't mean they out thugging in the streets and fist fighting, but they have some hardness to them in one way or another. And it's how we are raised, where we were raised. Like a lot of women in my family are the breadwinner, or they have to hold it down, and we can get into the layers of the whys and blah blah blah. Or they're the brains of the operation, or something. So, like, I reflected on who I was as a person, and I always have a guard up. I always have like a little bit of harshness. Like, even though I have the soft voice and the soft persona and the soft look, you approach me as a guy, and I'll be cold and steely. And like, yeah, you could be emotional. You can be like, I really like you, and I feel you, and I'm like, okay, that's great. Like, so like we all have
Again,
some level of
there.
hardness,
All
but
right,
it's a
so you have
but
somebody
why?
who no no no, but you have all right. Tell me that part. Tell me that part.
So the
Why would you
why,
do
because it's a defense. Like if I don't have the luxury, I just told someone this on Friday. I was in the middle of having like a mini meltdown because I got some news that I didn't like that upset me. Then I went for ramen and he spilled my damn ramen broth. And I was hot. And then it was like, so I switched because my feet hurting. And then I'm like, why my sock wet? And then I'm like, my ramen on the floor. And then this is, and I'm like, but I don't have the luxury of breaking down right now. I have to immediately go into problem solving mode. I immediately
it?
have to say, okay, and start directing. Like you just watching me as I'm stating all the issues, and I have to start directing you. Okay, come over here, do this. I need you to pull this out the car, do this right. I have to immediately go into repair mode, go into problem solve mode. Nobody's coming to save the day. In my experience, and in the experience of too many Black women, even when they have partners, even when they have families, even when they have support, it's not saying that we are on our own completely, but nobody, in my experience, is saving the day for me. If I don't make it happen, it doesn't happen. So we build a bit of a hard edge. Like, yeah, I don't get to break down and cry. Maybe at night when I'm by myself, but right now I have to figure it out. So no, I don't have time to like poo poo a nigga. Like, clean yourself up, because that's what I got to do. Figure it out. That's what I have to do. So that's why a lot of us are hard. Like, we don't have the luxury. We don't have the time. We don't have the space. We don't have anybody that's going to clean it up. Give us you take a break. You take a pause. You take a minute. No, no.
Welcome to the wonderful world of being a man.
We both feel that way. Yeah. And then you have this like, no, I can't be soft for you because I got to be the hard. And I just decided I just want to be soft and delicate
Yeah, but here's the
and live in
thing.
my femininity.
There's nobody to do that for us.
Well, I
Period.
had to decide. I can,
No, no,
because
no,
I'm
no,
like,
no,
I'll
no,
get
no,
that
no.
one day, and I had to
Here's here.
decide. I can't wait for it to come. I just have to create it for myself and hope to attract someone who allows me to thrive in that.
Okay. Now, flip that coin over. You're looking at it from that one lens on your end. Flip that coin on the other side. Look at the other end, the other side of that perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that's just never going to be your reality. There is nobody that's going to ever pick it up for you, show you, come in and tell you, hey, take a break. Wait, what if you're the one that has to be the one to come in all the time
Mm-hmm.
and say, take a break. I got this.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you say, I got this, here's that level of distrust because you are so unused to having somebody else do it for you. Like let me tell you the weirdest fight that I have. It's the weirdest fight that I have, and I laugh about it because it's absolutely hilarious to me. It's with my mom. My mom is super strong. She had to
Mm-hmm.
do it all. She had to do it all. You know, she had to do it all by herself. All right. And I had to grow up watching that. And I realized, based on what I saw with that, it kind of directed or guided a lot of the decisions that I made in relationships. And they were just poor decisions, poor vetting decisions, but ultimately they were poor decisions. Um, but that's not her fault. That was just how I came up. And I had to switch. I had to flip the switch differently and operate differently in my own mind. But the argument we have now, it's you don't know how to sit down and let a man lead because you never had that.
Who the parent, Corey?
Oh, I am. I am. Shit. I am.
Oh, you said you're
Yeah,
Big Daddy.
damn right. I sure am.
But that she doesn't know how to let a man lead.
No, because she's not been in a place where that's been a situation. All right. Oh, she's great.
Yeah,
Still,
yeah, yeah. I
for
get what you're
real.
saying. Yeah.
And love it, Lily, and I'm gonna do whatever I can to make sure she's good. You know.
But it's a struggle when you want to take charge
Oh
because
no,
she's used to being the boss. Well,
well,
no,
it's a
because your
struggle. It's a
personality,
struggle.
you're
It's a
domineering.
struggle. It's a struggle for her, not for me. It's funny to me. But
Yes.
I also, I call myself the villain. I am the Joker. I am, Lex Luthor. I am the bad guy. I don't care about how you feel. I ain't taking your feelings in consideration. This is how it's gonna work. Because this is the only way it's gonna get done. I'll consider your feelings after we get the work done. I'll consider your feelings, once I get a chance to map out the field and do it, set it up how things should be set up
Are you
to
telling
even
me just
work.
cry to my pillow until you can come and address me?
No, look. Sometimes There ain't no soft spaces. There aren't, and they're not allowed. You're showing it because you're even telling yourself it's hard for you. All right.
Because of some of the,
Imagine,
yes, it's
right.
hard.
Now imagine how hard it is for somebody who is constantly hearing how messed up they are, how messed up all of us are. We're always, bombarded with, and a lot of it is bullshit. Because a lot of women spewing that same bullshit ain't never had none of them experiences. It's like people dealing with racism now. Everything ain't racist. Prejudice, prejudice, stereotype. Yeah, ain't
Well,
racism.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Ain't racism.
Yeah, that's a big problem with my students. They keep calling out. I'm like, you can't just throw that around. That teacher not racist. Like, and they just don't just not like you. You weren't listening. Stop
But
doing that.
no, but here's why they do it because they dumbass parents do it. And their dumbass parents did it.
Like,
And
you
the
can't just
dumbass
throw
parents
that
before them.
around.
Hey, please. That's every child's trump card. That's every
I'm
child's
telling them.
trump
I
card.
told them they not right to do that. That's not right.
Look,
But sorry, go ahead. I'm just saying you're right. It is a problem.
but yeah. But again, let's segue back in. What I'm noticing in our society now is a trend going. And it's male empowerment, masculinity empowerment. Men are literally taking it back. They are. They're going back to the old school ways. They're taking back that energy to correct all the wrongs in society. Now, here's the thing. There's going to be a big fight over it.
Where are these men meeting? Where's the
Mm.
coalition forming?
Oh, you
Because
ain't gonna see the meeting. That's the cool part about men. You ain't gonna see the meeting. The meeting can be happening. The
you
meeting
have
can
a
be
list, a
happening in the
membership list,
restaurant.
because I would like to know
Hey,
which eligible
I'm
bachelors
not
out there,
gonna
because
tell
I
you.
don't see take charge men around me.
This shit is like Fight Club. Rule number one, you don't talk about Fight Club. Rule number two, you do
I
not
don't see
talk
the
about
take
Fight
charge
Club.
men around me. I feel like I'm always the brains of the operation, and I'm tired.
And it's glad you feel that way because the reality is the moves are going to be made with your input or without your input. Pay attention to the situation.
Now,
Yeah,
wait a minute,
observe.
strong man.
You, hmm?
I I like for a man to lead, but I think it's unwise to not consider the input of a wise woman.
I never said don't consider the input. I never said your input wasn't going to be considered. I said regardless if they consider it, the decisions are going to be made based on what's going to be beneficial for the whole,
And that's
not
what we
the
want to get
individual.
to now that we pointed out the problems, and that's perfect because we do want to talk about like how do we both men and women, how do we shift this so that we do start to cultivate that closeness? I think in partnership there is a desire to have that emotional tie and that safe space with each other for good
Mhm.
reason. So how do we begin to like what are the proposed solutions to helping us even begin to cultivate that?
All right, so I can only speak on the dynamics of what men need. One, if you want us to speak, you have to be willing to listen. Shut the fuck up and listen and say nothing. Don't give a response, don't give an opinion. Just listen. And listen with your heart, not just your ears. Because you listen with your ears, you want to respond. Your ears is the closest thing to your mouth. Yeah, I heard I want to blah blah blah. No. Listen with your heart. Because from here to here is a longer trip. All right. Listen from the heart so you can get an understanding of what's happening to them. There's a level of empathy that's just not out there for men. You want to sit there and say women ain't getting it? Well, who are you choosing to get it from? And are they getting it? Because if they're not getting it, they're damn sure not going to give it. If they don't know what it looks like, how do they know how to give? You know. So you got to be willing to listen and listen from the heart, not from the ear, or
I think that's
not from the ear.
yeah, I think that's the first valuable solution is yeah, you have to have uninterrupted space and time to share, but also looking at it from the other person's perspective. and really understanding their experiences. And it might be jacked up. You might not agree with it, but you're right. Put myself in somebody else's perspective, help me understand them better. That'll make them good for me. But I understood them a
Yeah.
lot more.
But I mean, all right, so hence why we have this platform, why we've started this thing called the three-sided coin. It is to teach people how to be able to look at stuff, you, not just in your own shoes. Stop looking at it from your own selfish, self-centered, self-everything, self-whatever perspective. It's other people involved around it. And everything does, just because it makes sense on your end doesn't mean it makes sense on somebody else's end. You know, you have to be able to look at that. And I would even teach that with men. Hey, yeah, we can sit there and have a conversation and say with one another, dude, put yourself in her shoes. The reality, he can't.
Yeah.
Can't because that we can empathize to a degree. We can't do it fully, but get to a place where, all right, here are the things that I need to do that make her feel comfortable. All right, make her feel secure, make her feel safe, because that's what she's asking from me to make sure these things are done, to make sure she feels secure and has that security. But at the same time, that flip of that coin has to also be there.
Well, I was going to ask you, what does security look like for men? Because you're right, security for women is provision, protection. I would say those are the top two qualities, and feeling safe. But what is security for men?
All right, so security for men. I'll be honest, me personally, I don't know. I don't know. Why? Because no one's ever asked, what do I need to feel secure? You know, that's something that I've been, for myself, security is internalized. Um, for me to speak on for other men, um, that would that's a wide variable, wide berth bridge, with a lot of variables in it. So I wouldn't want to speak on that. I mean, um, ultimately, I'd say if when it comes to relationship security, you would want someone who is, I mean, the normal, someone who's loyal, someone who's, faithful, someone who's got your back. Me personally, it would be Proverbs 31. And the reality is, ain't nobody Proverbs 31 in modern times. She does not
You don't
exist.
see the halo over my head.
Girl, I see the horns. I see the horns holding that
No,
halo
it's
up.
a halo. It's just a little crooked. No horns. It's a halo. It's just cocked to the side a little bit. I got one wing left, and God is like, keep playing with me.
I ain't got no wings. Yeah, I had to throw my pitchfork on the side over there. So, but nah, man, if someone's talking security, then that's just, yeah, it's not going to work. I can't just give you security for somebody else.
So
Me,
I guess that
for
would be a
security
solution.
in a
Figure
relationship would
out
be
for each partner.
Proverbs
Yeah.
31.
But I guess that's a solution. Figure out what your partner needs. Because I think a lot of men find security in being financially stable, but we're talking about in partnership. What do you need from your partner
Yeah, no,
to feel
that's all
secure?
I'm speaking on. That's all I'm speaking
Yeah.
on in a
So I think
partnership,
that's a worthwhile
you
solution.
know.
You have to really explore that and figure that part out.
hmm But you also have to be able to recognize, those red flags and call them out. Call them out, because if you don't call them out, somebody may not know that they have red flag. They may not know that they have flags. Throw them shits like NFL referees or MLB, footballers. Pull that red card up. Hey, throw that thing. I like the NFL because you get to throw it, and be vicious about it. Be intentional.
Well, I think that's
But
another solution, or that leads to another solution about building that trust, because we're talking about it being a safe space, and part of that is trust. But you can't, like you said, you can't use it as a point of weakness, saying you're not man enough, or I can't believe you being a little bitch over this.
you
It
can't
can't be a point of
weaponize it.
humiliation or being thrown back in your face. So I think of this concept in college, and I haven't done it since then, but my roommates and I had 2:45 sessions. And so
Mm,
what we would do is at 2:45 a.m., we would pick random days. Whatever happened, we would meet in somebody's bedroom. And whatever was discussed at the 2:45 session stays at the 2:45 session, but it was a free time to air your grievances with each other, voice your concerns, talk about what's going on in your life, have your breakdown, whatever. But we used to do
mm,
these sessions, and that was like, okay, like we're gonna live together. We were friends before we were roommates, and we want to keep the friendship. And so, like, yeah,
mm.
that whole like you have to be able to listen, to take in the information, and not be nasty and throw it back at the person outside of
Uh,
that
uh,
time and space of sharing.
unfortunately,
We're
when
talking solutions,
I
Corey,
know
not
I'm
poking
talking
holes in them.
solutions, I'm not poking holes in it.
You
I'm just
started
gonna
with
say,
unfortunately, and I don't like that.
yeah, unfortunately, we don't operate the same way when it comes to those gathering moments, where there's a lot of verbal conversation going on, between women about, um, I would say things that affect you more emotionally.
Hmm.
We don't have those types of conversations. Our conversations are about the moves, about the bag, about elevation. What's going to put us at that next level so we can achieve, whatever goal we're trying to achieve. And then
Right.
how do we secure the type of woman we want, for ourselves? And that in itself is that right there is the thing. When I say that's the difference between, and that's the unfortunate thing, we are not asking for the flip side of that coin. You know, from the men's side, we're not asking, hey, let's join. Well, one, even if we did join into that conversation, we would never get the full benefit of it. It's just who we are as collective groups. I'm not gonna let you all the way in. I'll let you sit in the corner, Negro by the door, and you get to watch what's going on and figure out your piece in it. But as far as being a willing participant in and involved in it, we may bring you in every now and then again for some perspective, but that's only so we can see how we can benefit from your knowledge, not how we can give you knowledge to go back out and say, here's something different. So we want to be able to get to a place where there's a soft place for a man to land.
Yeah, I have an acronym that I came across. I can't remember where I read it. So I would give credit. I didn't make it
Mm,
up. Okay. So whoever owned it, fine. It belongs to you. Okay. But because we're talking, I don't think it's impossible. And we have these soft spaces in my platonic friendships and my platonic relationships is they flow, and I have several. You and I have one where we could just talk candidly, openly, be expressive, and that's that. But in building it in a romantic partnership, the acronym that I came across is team. And so I also watched this other couple, the Ellises. I follow them on
mm,
Instagram. I like them, Kadeem and DeVal. And so they talked about, like, even after being together for 19 years, you get wrapped up so much in your schedule. So he said one day he woke
mm,
up, or she was speaking really, and he said, well, what is the first thing you think about when you wake up? And she's like, okay, so I wake up, I think about, okay, the kid's schedule, I gotta do this, blah blah blah, da 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 da, and then I have to. And he said, so where do I fall on that list? And so they
mm,
became deliberate in first thing in the morning or last thing at night before they go to sleep, having that discussion. But this acronym is team. And so the recommendation was you do these four things as a couple every day. You do these things.
mm,
So the T is touch.
mm,
That's pretty self-explanatory. It doesn't have to be sex, but some type of intimacy. The E is education. Like, what is one thing you learned today, or what's one thing you can teach me today? You can learn from each other. The A is appreciation, even if it's
mm,
something small, even if it's something routine. Like, can you show a little bit of appreciation? And then the M is metrics. And that's where you can, like, air your grievances and talk about what's bothering you or what's weighing you down. And so just like a quick 5 to 10 minute check-in, like that helps to
mm,
start build that habit of sharing and being open and feeling like you are prioritizing what I think and what I feel and I'm not just falling on your to-do list. So we're on it. But
Hmm.
like, yeah, I'm number one on that list.
Yeah, I can get behind something like that. Now, who can be consistent in following through with that?
Corey, I'm not
I'm
a
not
pessimist like
saying
you.
I'm not being a pessimist. God, I'm not being a pessimist. Okay,
It's in
so
your nature.
when I say no, when I say who can be consistent in that, that's the question out to, everybody, the audience, all. You know, how do that takes focus. That takes deliberate action. You got to be deliberate in that. It takes discipline, to do. Now, granted, it can become a habit and a very healthy one. And I really do like it. I think going forward is something that, if I have not done any part of that in life, then yeah, that's what I'll make sure is happening in my life and relationships going forward in my life. But, for for and I don't want to say average person because I don't think people are average. I think people are unique. So for all the masses of unique people out there, how many of you or how many of them can actually consistently do this? And it takes
Well, that's
two.
what we want to know. Yeah.
It takes two. Um, it has to be a challenge. In the beginning, it has to be a challenge.
It
You
has to
need to
be
set,
deliberate. I would put it on my
yeah,
calendar
no,
every
yeah, it
day
has
just
to
as a
be.
reminder. Yes.
Yeah, but some people don't need to put it on their calendar. Some people won't put it on their calendar, and they're gonna miss steps. You know. All right. So, for instance, and I started doing this again. I did this some years ago. It was read a proverb a day. You know, and each day you read the next chapter of the proverb, and until you get to the end. Well, February was here, and I was like, all right, I don't want to do February, because February don't have 31 days. But guess what? March does. So I started. So every day I wake up, first thing I do, I give it to God, and I go and I read the proverb, and for that day. And that it was something I did years ago when I felt at my worst psychologically, physically. I just felt at my worst. And I put that in to help me learn some stuff, help me guide me through some things that I felt like I needed to go through. I called Proverbs the Book of Wisdom, and they gave some wise counsel there. And then I also had, wise men counsel to help me rebuild who I am, who not who I was, but who I am. And it was a pick up the pieces type situation. You go through that, but you need to have that guidance. This is similar. What you're doing, which that acronym of team is very similar. It takes time, it takes dedication, and then you have to have people on the outside who are willing to hold you accountable for making sure you keep those steps going. Otherwise, you're just gonna run into a bunch of problems later on. And even in that, going back to safe spaces, it may be used against you if you're the guy. Oh, you started doing this, started doing that, and then you just broke out and weren't doing it anymore. Well, now you got to get back to going. You got to stay consistent on that. But as men, we got to be willing to lead that and hold everybody accountable for that. If she's missing a step, jump on her ass and hold her accountable for it. Hey, you forgot this. Even if it's her time to receive it, hey, stop, turn around, come here, stand in front of me, grab her by her arms, pull her in close, say what you need to say to her, appreciate her, let her know where her space is, and then pluck her on the forehead and move on. You know what I mean? Don't pluck her on the forehead, guys. Don't pluck your woman
Like,
on the
no, not a
forehead.
literal, like not a
Pluck her
literal.
on the forehead.
We're gonna do
God
a whole
dog.
episode because you
But
mentioned when to shut the fuck up. No, we're gonna do a whole episode because it's a guy that transformed my life with the art of teaching me when to shut the fuck up. But good, yes, go ahead.
Ooh, Lord Jesus. We're gonna definitely have to get into that. But yes. But
But
let me tell you
sometimes it
something.
takes
The
that
thing
you
about
taking
men,
charge and saying, "Look, I said I got it. Stop,
but in the end,
chill."
that's ultimately in the end, that's what That's what all women seem to want. They seem
Yes,
to want that man to take. I'm gonna say seem because I don't want to say all women want
I'm
that.
tired.
Some
I need somebody to come in who is
some women
capable.
some women wanna some women really do wanna,
No, I don't think
they
that's
do
women's
wanna run
nature, but I think it's
everything.
hard for women to believe and trust that
I
you're
ain't talking
capable
about
of it.
nature. I ain't talking about nature. It's too much distortions and drugs in the food and all that other stuff. I ain't getting into
No,
that.
I
People
think
and some
I
other
think
stuff
you're
now
right.
that I ain't
Most
getting into
women want someone because think about it. I run every part of my life. I
that.
am in charge and I make so many decisions a day. Yes, when I come home, I would love to have a leader that I trust and believe in to take over and make decisions. And I trust his decisions and I'm just going to flow with it.
You know what my favorite thing to do at night is to watch on YouTube national no old documentary, not even National Geographic, but old documentaries on lions and how they behave. And it's always the same. The male lions patrol and protect the perimeter. They come in, they eat, you know, and the females they do majority of the hunting. They do the child rearing, but they do it as a team. They do it as a team. And I watch that and I'm just like, interesting dynamic. And then I look at all the other animals and how they operate. And it's very similar. Very similar. The role of the male is protection. The role of the male is, it's not child rearing. Every now and again, the big males, they get the babysit. And the female's like, nah, I can't leave you too long. You can see it in dads, how they treat their
You can
kids. You
see
ever
it
see
at
them
the
dads?
permanent burn by my
You
eye.
can
No,
see,
you can't
you
leave a
see it.
child with they dead.
Man,
It's not
them
safe.
jokers be throwing their kids up 45 feet, and the kids love it. Like, ah!
Yeah,
You know
I have a
why the kids
permanent
love it
burn to
though?
prove it. Yes, it's not
But you
safe.
know why those kids love that? The kids love it because they know they're safe. They completely
Yes,
and earnestly
yes,
trust daddy. Here's why, because daddy is going to protect them and
yes.
their livelihood. He'll protect mama because he need mama to be able to help do some stuff and groom them and raise them a certain way. But he's going to protect them, you know. And that level of protection is different when it comes to a spouse as opposed to a kid. We have to look at our partners as, yo, we got to protect them physically, safe, physical safety and all that stuff. That's what we have to be able to protect as men. That's what we're taught to protect as men. I don't think women are ever taught to protect anything up on a man. I don't. I just don't. Um, I just don't. I ain't nobody ever. I just don't see it. A child maybe, but
You
not a
ain't
man.
dated a girl from Gary,
Don't
have you?
protect. Yeah, I probably have, and then again, probably not.
No, you haven't,
But
because
anyway,
a Gary girl, she don't stand behind you. It's like
but
she out front fighting
here's the
for you.
thing. Here's the thing. It's also knowing when to fight and how to do it.
Yeah.
Like men are very, very strategic about it. We don't just lean into our emotions on it because we know
Okay. Yeah.
leaning into our emotions leads to disaster. So what do? We calculate that whole situation. Yeah, this is the odds are not good here. This is not a great place to have this happen. I can actually get out of this situation. Okay, then put myself in a situation where I have the advantage. It's always that way through nature. With the females, and I don't see that, they just go ahead and brawl it out and do they have it out right then and there. But you have to watch that stuff. With us as humans, though, it comes back to that dynamic with that soft space. One, yeah, for men there are no soft spaces. We have to make it always happen. But it's that understanding is a great space or a great thing to start in us getting a grasp of, okay, this is what his role is in primal form. This is what he's going to do. This is how he's going to do it. We have to also remember though, as men, that woman having your child, she also needs you to protect her just as much, or that security to protect her just as much as that child. Now granted, if you out here throwing ass on the world and slinging meat up and everything, and you happen to get the wrong one, I'm talking about both sides. You happen to get the wrong one, and that outcome is some kid. You kind of signed up for it. You kind of signed up for it. You got to be a little more deliberate and a little more disciplined about it. And that's something I've learned, and I had to learn. I had to learn the hard way, through life. You just have to. So, you know, um, people want to make things work. You got to have the hard conversations. You got to talk. You have to be deliberate. You got to be disciplined.
And
You
you have
know,
to be honest.
yes, you have to be honest. But again, what is
Whatever the
honesty?
consequences. I always say
What is
you can have
honesty?
everything you want in life, just maybe not with who you want.
Exactly. And that's the problem with it. That's not a win. I told you everybody wants to win.
Yeah,
All
if you lead
right,
with
so
deception, you will lose.
here, here's that quote. Here's that quote. Here's that quote. Men are attracted to what they see. Women are attracted to what they hear. That's why women wear makeup and men tell lies. Who's lying? Everybody is. Everybody's trying to get the win, and that's why they're doing what they do to
Just
win.
make up a lie.
Everybody, say
Do
that
I
one more
look
time.
drastically
Say
different?
that one more time. Say that
How
one
does
more
make up a
time.
lie? Do I look drastically different without it? No, Corey, I did. Don't take another sip from that damn cup.
You want me to be honest?
Yes,
Yes.
drastic.
You ain't got no purplish blue hue over your damn
Well,
eyelids.
duh, that part, but I look
Your
drastically
lips
different.
ain't that red. Your lips
Of
ain't that
course,
rosy
my
red.
face is not
Your
the
cheeks
same.
ain't that rosy. Your
Oh,
cheeks
actually,
ain't
my
that
cheeks
rosy,
are that
girl.
rosy in real life. Actually, they are. I have
Girl,
like
you
this
dark skin. Get the
natural,
hell out of here.
natural like orangey
You
tint to
are
my
a
face.
you are a beautiful dark skinned woman. Them Jones are
That is
not
true.
rosy red. Thank you.
I
You Jones are
promise
not
you they
rosy
are.
red.
I swear they are. They really
All
are.
right, we gonna have to sit face up again.
I don't
I'm
wear
gonna stare
blush,
at
but
you
on my bare
with
face, yes, my cheeks are like orangey. They have like an orange tint to them.
I'm gonna have to really lean in and stare out and da da da. That's fine. But nobody. I mean, again, everybody's trying to win. Everybody's trying to collect that win. So they're doing whatever they can to get the win. You know, and
Well, I say I want to hear from our audience. I want to hear like what they think about what are the barriers to us getting closer to cultivating those safe spaces for our men, because the bottom line is it's going to help us all. So we can go back and forth all day on why we both deserve it, on why it's not going to happen, but it's the reason I'm advocating for it is that it's going to advance us both. It's going to help the unit and help the
oh,
community
that
because
I
I am
absolutely agree.
desperate to be solved. So I need someone who can balance that.
Now, I agree with you. No, understand. I do agree with you. We do want to have that balance, but we have to have a place of understanding. Understanding, there has to be a place of empathy. There has to be a place of silence. Silence is big, but the biggest thing over all of that, there gotta be a place of peace. And I don't know if too many people know what that even looks like. If you're in a toxic, you brought up in toxicity, you don't know what peace looks like. You just going with what's familiar, and that's what we tend to do. We always tend to go for what's familiar instead of what's right. You know what I mean? What's the best thing for us? And yo, we got to get out of that. And I think the sooner we get out of being and dealing with the things that are familiar on a consistent basis and start doing some things that are uncomfortable, I think then we can start having the things that we truly want and aspire to, even from one another. But you gotta get your hands dirty. You gotta be willing to get out there and get in the midst and find out. And sometimes in the midst of finding out is shutting down shop for the ladies. Like, hey, you want a man to treat you right, make him court you and get to know who he is, let him get to know you. instead of, a few drinks at the bar and we smash in the back of,
Okay, that's a whole
whatever.
different topic and episode,
It
because
is,
yeah, we
but
can't get into that. So I think
no,
we
but
can
we're
leave
looking
it.
at solutions. Hey, we talking about solutions.
Yeah,
We gotta go grassroots. I'm gonna tell you now, the old way everybody talk about this ain't this and this ain't that. The
I think
people were
that's a
together for a
whole
long
different
time.
topic
The
altogether.
people were together, they were together a long time. Tell you something, the past stuff is tried and tested, and it showed the success and how much success is happening with
Yeah,
what's
the past
happening
didn't
now.
have safe spaces because that's what we talked about. Like it was not open and honest conversations and vulnerability. So when we
No,
talk
because
about safe spaces, no, the
well,
old
we talking
way.
about safe spaces for men, though, right? Again, there were none. There are none still. You might find an individual willing to be soft and be
All
a
right,
soft,
so I
but
don't believe that. The whole point of that, I really don't believe that. I don't think that that's the truth. I think
it's
if,
a
like you said,
whole
if both
bunch of
people tap
men.
into it, it's there. It's not common. It's
Yo,
not something that's popularized, and it's something that people want. So I'm just not. I'm not ever going with the narrative that it just doesn't exist.